Hey everyone, this is just a little video where I'm going to go over the assignment sheet for your final exam. I just want to be really clear that you should follow the directions on this piece of paper right here in front of us. It is posted in your final exam folder, and this is the document that you are going to type on, and then you are going to save it to your computer or your 365 account, and then you are going to upload this document to the assignment folder. This is due on Wednesday, May 13th by 11:30 p.m. That is a hard deadline. If you do not get it in by 11:30 on Wednesday, May 13th, you will get a 0. I will not bend on that, so I just want to be very clear that it has to be done by Wednesday. You will have 3 days to complete this. Usually you would have 3 hours in class. So I think that 3 days is plenty of time for you to figure this out. And if it doesn't get in by 11:30 on Wednesday, you will get a 0. So that means if you anticipate having a problem uploading any documents, you should probably give yourself an earlier deadline than that. Give yourself a 6 o'clock p.m. deadline or an 11:30 a.m. deadline. So if you have trouble, it'll get into the assignment folder. I will not be grading anything that is not in the assignment folder for this assignment. Okay? So I just want to be really, really clear. Your document needs to be in the assignment folder before 11:30 on Wednesday, May 13th. If you have any questions about that, please email me. Okay? All right. So let's go over the directions here. First of all, it says, explain in great detail what you learned about reading critically this semester. So number 1, you are going to answer this question. You are going to explain what you learned about reading critically, and you're going to type it right here. Okay? So I would just, I'd probably do that, and then I'd start typing. This semester I learned, right? And I would just type that in. But make sure that it's easy for me to read. Don't start here, right? Do a little space. Make sure that your spacing makes it clear, okay? Then there is a B to number 1 as well. So number 1, you're talking about what you learned about reading critically. That's the big deal in number 1. So the application part of this is that you are going to use specific texts as examples of this learning, which is about reading critically. Okay? So you're going to choose one article, and I gave you some examples that would be great articles for you to choose. You don't have to choose these, but you can. Okay? Excuse me. All right, so choose one article, and then you're going to choose one of the following chapters of the book. You're going to choose 25, 26, 27. They're the most recent, and they should be in your brain the best. That's why I chose the last 3, is so you had a choice, but it would be fresh in your memory. Okay? So choose one chapter. Okay? And then you're going to answer the bullet pointed questions right here for both of these things. So for example, if I chose that I was going to use the letter from International Scholars as my one difficult article, and I was going to use chapter 25 for my chapter, then I would go through and answer these questions of how I got through the letter of International Scholars and chapter 25. I would explain what skills did I learn, and what I would like you to do is, again, make a space, and then make sure to be very clear about what article. And then I would do these, right? What skills? So you can just copy, paste, right? And then I don't really like it that that's that far, so I'm just going to move it out a little bit. There we go. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. And then I would, right, leave a little space. I'd make it neat like that. And then I would say, oh, what skills did you learn that helped you break down a difficult text? And then I would answer the question. And then I would leave some spaces. So this is going to be more than one page when you're done with it, right? Okay. Then after you're done with this application part, you can go on to number 2. And number 2 says, explain in great detail what you learned while reading The Lost City of the Monkey God and the companion readings, all the articles that we read and all the textbook chapters. And this covers anything we read this semester, anything that we viewed, anything, okay? So what I mean by what you learned is, what did you learn about all the disciplines that we explored? We explored history, we explored geography, we explored archaeology and science and health, right? So I have some questions here to guide you, but it can be anything that you learned at all. So if you did a quest that was really cool and you learned something really specific, that is what I want to hear. What did you learn about information, general knowledge, right? So that's what you're going to detail here, what you learned. Maybe you learned a lot about smallpox. Maybe you learned about archaeology. I don't know. Whatever you learned, okay? And then you're going to relate all of the learning that you obtained. See question 2. So you're going to want to write as much as you can here that you learned. What did you learn? And then you're going to relate what you learned to our world today. Our world that we live in right now. Okay? And what implications does this have? Does this learning have on our society? Right? What does it have on our society? What do you think is the most important takeaway from this learning? And then I'm going to just highlight this. Be sure you are citing the following texts. Okay? You are going to be citing The Lost City of the Monkey God, right? Duh. You're going to be talking about what you learned from the book that we've been studying all semester. So if you learned something about, I don't know, archaeology, then you're going to talk about how you learned about it in the, what you took away from The Lost City of the Monkey God. Easter Island. Easter Island is a big deal. I told you that when we read it. So I want you to cite that one in this discussion about society. Okay? And then also the awful truth about archaeology. So these are pretty early on texts. But then you get to choose 2 other texts from class as well. So you are going to be using the book, Easter's Island, The Awful Truth About Archaeology, and 2 texts of your choice to talk about what you learned and how it affects the world today. Right? You are going to be discussing the implications of your learning on society right now and what the best takeaway is from this learning, relating it to today and our society. And you're going to be citing those 5 texts, okay? So you get to choose whatever 2 texts you want, and I chose 2 texts, and of course the book, okay? So you will be writing like, I think this affects, blah-de-de-blah information. You're going to be specific about really is pertinent to our world today because just like in Easter's Island, blah-de-de-blah, de-de-blah, blah, 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 right? Okay, so that is what you are going to be doing for this final exam. If you have questions, you may email me and I will totally go over that with you. We can even Zoom and I will explain these even more. Okay, so please, please, please make sure you're clear on the directions and that you're going to be doing this correctly. If you're not clear, email me and let's set up a Zoom meeting so I can explain it to you and you can ask questions. Okay? All right, that's all I've got for you today. Good luck. This shouldn't be hard because it's all stuff that you already know. You've already read all the stuff. This should just be a nice culminating activity. It certainly shouldn't take you more than the 3 hours that are allotted for our final exam in class, and I would dare say it should just take you about 2 hours. Okay? So, yay! Last task. Good luck, and I will see you in another presentation.